Hello, hello. All right, looks like it's moving now. All right, so I was having issues with the cord, so I changed the cord. I'm like, I got this other spare cord here. I'm like, that'll work. And it turns out the other cord doesn't have, I guess it doesn't have the correct. I don't know. I guess the whatever the additional wires you need for sound also. I guess. Um, yeah, I don't know how that works. Yeah. So, yeah, there's that. Okay. Yeah, that's my morning. Sorry, I'm a little bit late as well. Unfortunately, Kip did his normal like, up. You're starting stream in 2 minutes. Time to poop. So if you guys have kids, you know how that goes. Gotta love kids, right? Yeah, that's what I'm dealing with this morning. I was also up at 3 o'clock this morning. So yeah, Kip decided to keep Melissa up a lot last night. So Melissa literally woke me up at 3 and said, "Here, he's up. I need to sleep." I'm like, okay. So Kip passed out, but I was on my bed to sleep. I was like, kind of like, I'm awake. So we'll do the best we can. Obviously, there was some big movement. Yesterday, if you remember us talking, we mentioned that, what we were going to see with the monetary policy statement out of Japan was going to be pretty important. It gave us, it didn't really provide any. It wasn't like they like raised interest rate or anything like that, but the language is what we were talking about. And as you can see, the dollar yen down 4.28, pound yen down 5.68. And again, all it takes is one comment, one tone, for people to kind of sway just the thinking on a little bit. And we mentioned it yesterday. Like, listen, even if they don't do anything, if they just even remotely hint, it's going to be very strong for the yen. Now, was it very strong for the yen? Yeah, it was way strong for the yen. There's kind of no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's major movement, right? It bounced off some of the levels that we had looked at and talked about. So it's absolutely something that could have been tradable for you guys last night. Actually, I think it was it Aussie yen? I believe Aussie yen went right off the level that we talked about. It was either Aussie or it could have been pound yen too. I know Euro yen was a setup. Basically, they were all pulling back to levels that we saw that we're looking at, and again, provided good movement. So, question is, what do we do with it now? Again, this is more of a fundamental change in the market, so it's not like we're necessarily looking for reversals today or anything. There probably will be a little bit, but for the most part, the move is kind of in. And again, this is a low volume based move. This is how big they can be. Fortunes are lost and made. And I say lost because, God forbid, anybody that did not have a stop loss on either of these two or anything with the yen, yeah, they probably lost some big money. That's how accounts get popped, is when something like this comes out. Besides that, you can see there's not really, again, it's just the Japanese data if you want to really dive into it. Sparking yield caps and things like that. Talking about bond buying options. Again, you can dive in there a little bit more if you want, but just know that the move is already happened at this point. It's kind of late to kind of jump in. Besides that, though, not really a ton of movement. Again, not really. There was no major catalyst or news release today for it or anything, right? That's what happens, right? Week before the holiday. Not much else to say about it. You can see that the euro pound is up about 41 as well. And again, that's giving a little bit of the shares a little bit of the pound weakness that we're seeing from the overnight in that session. So I'd say right now, biggest opportunity. Let's see. Hold on. Right now, just at a glance, it's kind of hard because there's just not really a whole lot of news. And the two biggest moves out there, the ones that are really at a level that are significant enough, are ones that are really kind of fundamental changes we don't really want to mess with. Oops. Hold on. There we go. There you go. So CAD data was the other thing I wanted to talk about. So the CAD data was a little bit mixed. You had some up, some down. This will definitely throw the markets off. It's kind of like, is this a strong reading or a weak reading? Really, all the energy was kind of put into the yen and kind of going against it. But you had one green, one red, right? Both negative adjustments last time, were actually worse than expected. So, there's only so much you can do with the CAD when it has a split reading like that. Retail sales being lower, I wouldn't say that that's anything necessarily earth-shattering with it. The core number being higher than expected, I think, is important. And in fact, the core being up 1.7% versus the 1.3 is much more significant than a 1.4 versus a 1.5. So overall, I don't think it was necessarily it's a strong CAD figure. And again, you're seeing the dollar CAD down about 14. Again, nothing earth-shattering news-wise there, or if, like percentage-wise. But a decent, decent kind of push, right? Tomorrow morning, we mentioned yesterday we have CPI, which is always a big hot topic. Now, CPI is showing flat in Canada on a monthly basis. Now, we'll see if that's really what it comes in as. I expected it to tone down a little bit. Is it going to be earth-shatteringly different? Nah, probably not. Right? I mean, if we get a 0.1, does that really tell us much? Right? Not really. But it may provide some movement in kind of a lower, in a lower kind of movement environment. Or a lower volume-based environment. Again, not that CAD has, CAD is not, I would say, one of the it's not as manipulated, I guess is the best way to say it, as some of the other currency pairs because it is kind of more of a proxy. Now, it's a proxy for something that is obviously manipulated with oil. But for the most part, Canada has a certain level of protection being where they are and having the relationships and environment that they're in. So it's not as not as crazy as some of the other nations out there. But that's pretty big data tomorrow morning. So, I mean, we'll see how that one rolls out. As far as kind of in the markets. So the VIX yesterday, we took a big drop and then kind of a retracement back again, VIX-wise. It was down and then went right back. And then again, a gap in the overnight, and then we really basically exactly where we closed. It says it's up 0.49 right now, VIX-wise, but it's not really that much different. I wouldn't necessarily look at this and be like, ooh. VIX is up right now, percentage-wise, and again, we're seeing all the indices down a little bit. And like I said, the negativity is just, it's just baked in right now. As I said, the big players are out there, and now the retail traders are out there. I mean, think about it. If you're sitting in cash right now, does it matter that the market's going down? No, not really. And our big investment firms, they're and when I say in cash, I'm not saying that they took all their clients' money and put it in cash. But what I'm saying is that the bankers are on vacation, so the banks are not necessarily making the same level of trades that they were making before for their own personal accounts. And yes, banks do have a trading division that trades money for the bank. Those guys are all out. So you're not seeing the same type of manipulation there. So, seeing the red in there, it's retail traders, and it's kind of like, oh no, I'm holding on to that last day. I got to, those all that tax stuff. So overall, seeing that negativity in there. Commodities, besides natural gas, everything is to the top side, right? And again, pretty substantially. Gold breaking 1,800. That's kind of a big deal, right? And again, some of this has to do with, the yen and stuff like that. When we talk about bonds, obviously things come back into gold and silver naturally. But natural gas, look at that. Down another 8% today. So, I mean, it is just collapsing, right? Collapsing. And meanwhile, CL, positive again. Just a little bit. It's not tons. I mean, it's not like an 8% up today. But now we're creeping up into that 76 range, right? Are we going to get to the 90? I don't know. Something really, really crazy would have to happen. Now, I will say you guys saw the picture I posted in Discord. It was awesome seeing gas for, $2.91, right? Even at like our regular stations, it was down to like 3.09, right? The line was, it was funny. Like, I don't know if people think it's temporary or not, but the line literally, like, how most like Sam's Club and BJ's and stuff like that are, right? Where like, you got to like drive into them because they're set back a little bit from the road. At least in Maryland, that's how they are. They're not like right on the road. You drive back to them a little bit. And again, I think that's for like big trucks and stuff like that to get in there and off the main road. Anyway, it was backed up almost all the way to the road. It was kind of crazy. I've never seen that many cars trying to get gas. And I don't know if it was just that it broke $3 a gallon and people were like, woo, buy it now before it goes back up or what it was. But it was like 2:30 in the afternoon and I was like, holy crap, I've never seen this many people in the gas line. And then interestingly enough, we also have, I don't know if it's 6. I want to say 6. 4, 6, I don't know. I feel like there's doubles on them. Our Sam's Club actually has one of the electric recharging stations as well. It's amazing. There was nobody recharging their cars, but yet there was 50 cars waiting in line to get regular gas. So funny how that works out. But again, gold and silver being high is good. Again, natural gas being down is awesome. I'm waiting for it to go back down to 3. I think that's probably where it's heading now that it's becoming not as much of a geopolitical event. Aussie dollar. All right, so here's where we are Aussie dollar wise. I posted yesterday. I was like, my God, this thing is taking forever, and it did. You can see we got the trigger here, and again, there was another touch of it about 12 o'clock, and it went down, and it just was like base, 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 base. It's like, oh my God, get out, please, and it eventually did, right? It eventually did. 8 o'clock last night, it was out. A couple hours after I talked about the Aussie, but it was just like it came down, and it was like, oh Jesus, really? And then it came down. It's like, oh my God, just stop. Just go just a little bit more. And it's good that it eventually did because it would have came all the way back up again. Had that news been, over here, that would have been one of those ones that's just a cruel joke from the pipettes. But yeah. So overall, it is a little bit lower. And again, with that big spike up, obviously we know what that was based off of. That was the Japanese news. Again, we had the level drawn down here, and we said, hey, this one's a little bit sketchy, just because, again, one, it should be the profit target for the short over here that we had at 10 o'clock, and we had 1, 2, and 3 touches, so it had been there before in the past. It wasn't the cleanest entry, and we're kind of pushing up to it right now. So interesting spot for the Aussie yen, or the Aussie dollar. Now, remember this week we are, and again, here I'll do none. We'll go USD. You can see besides consumer confidence today at 10. We really don't. I mean, I guess final GDP numbers, but I mean they're final, so it's not like the advance where it's the kind of the first look. It's I don't know. I find like the final one is marked lower. I feel like that one tends not to be as important. But the core PCE price index, absolutely, that's an important one, and that's going to be later in the week. So, I think the one that's weird about this is it's the last trading day before Christmas. So it's kind of like, oh, how many people are going to be trading that Friday? It's like, ooh, maybe they trade it and they go. But anyway, as far as where the dollar is, now we know we're finding some some buyers down here at the 63.25-ish area. Not that we typically mark this off, but that's kind of a soft area where you're looking for. We can take this one out, and you can see that it came back and touched it again, but it was a target for that short. Now we'll drag this back down again a little bit farther, and you can see we did go off this morning about 3:30. We did go off the newly established 23.6 and a push back down into the zone. So it's where we are right now. I'd really like to kind of see what type of stabilization we get. It's in an area now where we kind of got it. We got to get through this U.S. Open, this original kind of first 30 minutes to an hour. We kind of have a low put in, and we would expect to see the kind of dollar strength to roll in. But for the most part, it was dollar strength from morning of. So, with that being said, we're kind of between two places, or we're kind of between an area here, which again was that 23.6 here, and then this lower level. I'd really like to see us go through and break, and I think that's really where it needs to be. But right now, until it kind of pushes through, there's not much we can do, as well as there's no major area to the left that we can use the sell off of until it goes back up to that 23. So Aussie's in a weird spot. At this point, the one good thing about it is now, again, we know we have a level of 23. We have sellers in there, and it has pushed it pretty deep already, right? If you go off this base, right, all the way through. This would not be another trade, right, because now we pushed through the top. So not another trade here. But if you look just a little bit higher, you can see that we do have a little level sitting up top, and that happens to be front run now by the 50% retracement. So if it does start to push up, there's nothing over here. If we go back up again, remember, it's like looking over a mountaintop. Look to the left, come up, look to the left. So we can't see any of this anymore. We go right back up in the 50 sitting there. So I think as far as areas to watch out for, I think 67.60 is an area that we want to watch. And we also kind of want to see what happens lower, right? Is it going to bounce, start basing, and then continue to push lower? Again, we knew that we already had somewhat of a bounce there, right? But you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, we've been through. The next area that we're really looking for the downside is the 6,600, right? There we go. Right, that's the next area we're looking for to the downside. So not quite enough room for a Harry Potter-based trade, but I think if we can get back down to that 66, that could be a potential area for us to turn and roll to the top side. But right now, again, I think it comes back up. The question is, can we get up to the 23.6 at 66.90, and will that be a good area for us to take another short from? Okay. Aussie yen, obviously a big push down. Now, this was one of those ones that's like, oh man, it pushed up, And you can see right here, the news came in right here. Technically, we had a red, we had a green, right? And then all of a sudden the news came in. So we were looking for a little bit higher. You could have drawn a zone here and said, hey, listen, it's now pushed away from the zone. If it pulls back up again, that could be a great area of shorting. If you're watching it, yep, absolutely. You could have done that and traded it off that one. And you can see how big of a push it is. Like the first candle, 270 pips almost instantaneously, right? So quite a large one. Where we go with it now? Whoops. All right, so this is a little bit harder. Again, huge move in price. Typically, we would be calling for this one to, it'd be a parabolic-based move. But the problem with this one is this is because of fundamental changes in the market. It wasn't a news headline. It wasn't a reading that happened last month or last quarter or some projection going forward. It's actually more of a fundamental change in the market. So we typically do not see the same type of reversals. We can take this and run some fibs down, and you can see up to the 23, there are some sellers up there. But as far as finding a bottom on it, I would expect a little bit of a retrace. But the reality is, even if we go back to like a 4-hour, you can see it's been. I mean, we're flirting with this right now. This is a 4-hour 4-hour candles, but this is very, very hard to draw anything off of, right? It's just a monstrous size zone and not really the best zone, to be honest with you. It's not horrible for the fact that the green was the lower candle versus the red, but the amount of risk in this one, I mean, yes, this is a 4-minute candle, but it's 81 pips. And if we mark this one off, what that area looks like, I think we can see. There you go. You can see that the way that it looks, it was a big spike, right? Basing, spike, but didn't go as low. So it's not necessarily the type of candles that we want to draw a bottom off of. So at this point, in looking at also yen, the idea is let's wait for a new bottom to be put in. Could it come in anywhere down here around this 87? I think 87 is probably an area to watch out for, just because. Whoops. The reason why I say watch 87 is being a round number, and knowing that we have buyers down there, I think that would be a great place to put some type of a bottom in. Now, are we expecting any other news for the end of this week? Not really. A little bit, but I think at this point we're going to start looking at PCE. And you may say, well, how the heck is US PCE going to mess with the Aussie yen? Here's why. If the PCE comes in higher than expected, that would be more reason why the Fed should not take their foot off the gas or foot off the brake. Or, I'm sorry, foot off the gas. That's to crush inflation. That lowers the price of gold. That also weakens the Aussie, right? And that helps us bring this to the downside. Now, the yen's obviously involved as well. If obviously the yen can get some strength from being a proxy for the Dow. So again, it's a double proxy type scenario with this type of push. Again, PCE comes in weak. That's going to be weak for the dollar. That should absolutely help us kind of rally back up again. Of the two proxies, I feel that on this PCE one, because it is so focused on inflation and gold, or inflation, with gold being a hedge, I think this one affects Aussie more than yen for this week. So kind of what I'm watching for. I'm looking for a new bottom to be put in. Hold on, wait, what? No. Sorry. Once we have a newly established bottom in here, I think this one has a decent run to the top side. And I would be watching this. As you track fibs down, I'm running it easy from like kind of high to low here, but some people will take it from this spike in general, and they'll just look at this and say, well, there we go right there, and there's a 23. And yes, there is a small zone. You can see there's a wick behind a wall with the wick here. You can actually form a small zone there sitting on the 23.6, and inside of that level, it's only about 22 pips worth of risk. I'm still in an hourly, so here, I'm talking about 30 minutes. You can see the wick behind the wall and then use the top and box it off that way. Happens to be bisected. So there will be people that are looking for that level as well. I don't think that's horrible. Again, catching that at the right reversal time, it may not be too bad as well. Looking at euro dollar. Now, euro dollar, it's kind of what we had. Talked about where we were and how this one kind of pushed down a little bit low. The 10:30 candle went down at 11 o'clock. It turned. If you adjusted this down just a little bit more, again, if you've done it here, right? If you had played the start, If you take it as a number 1 entry, you got stopped out. If you took it as a number 3 entry, you hit full profit target. Otherwise, it just went back and forth, and you can see we bounced. We talked about this yesterday, really remember this? We talked about it kind of bisecting that zone as well as where Bollinger Bands were, and it did. It literally spiked into there. It's like, oh, here we go. And again, it took it out the top side, and again, came down and grabbed it again. Had you adjusted this for kind of where the low was, right there, you can see this is no different, right, to here. And your 1 to 3 is right there. So you touched right there, and you were out right there. So a couple different areas. It's still basing sideways. I mean, it's up 0.0, or 0.18, and running into sellers. So, is there a great trade setup for this one? Nah, I think yesterday, that kind of early morning. Yesterday, I think at 10:30 was a good one. Again, you can see the movement that happens at 10:30. Maybe, I mean, I guess we do have consumer, or that's tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. We don't really have much. Do we have anything? I don't think there's anything. Nah, building permits, it's already in, and they were kind of split. So the reality is we don't have too much. I think the big question is what happens in this area here. It's an area basing. You can see it hit it yesterday at 4 a.m. and then almost touched it last night at 11 p.m. I would say that's going to be the next big test, whether we can hold. And it's about 20 pips. Could it be a 10:30 reversal? Sure, it could be. Just know there's some additional risk in that one because we have touched it here and have touched it here. So 106.50, 106.53, right, to 106.65. So, 10 pips is not horrible. But again, still channeling on the upper side, looking for shorts. Be cautious with the number of hits, and if it does break through, it doesn't have any sellers until up top. All right. But again, right now we've finally broken out of the channel, but it's just a sideways break. But that's it. This is the one we talked about yesterday. So we'll erase that and get that on our way. Yeah, we'll see what it does. So euro pound. So euro pound. Yesterday we were sitting right here. Kind of went up, kind of shot down, went up, shot down, shot up, went shot down, and it's kind of sitting a little bit higher. We're 24 hours up 34 pips. It's a decent move. What I'd be looking at right now on this one is this. You got highs, right? Lower, a little bit of a spike, but not as high. Another lower one here. So there's obviously sellers starting to build up. You never like when it builds up like this. If anything, I would say that we're probably due for a reversal, but the reality is this one is more consolidated than anything else because you could take this really back from here and say, well, wait a second, there we go, and there we go. I don't think Europe's necessarily in the greatest situation, so I'd like it to come back down. I think this 86.89 Harry Potter to the downside, down to 86.55, I kind of think that's the best option for this one still. I feel like to go any higher, it's going to have to break through a certain amount of levels. And I don't know if it's going to have the ability to do that, particularly with the European session ending in 2 hours. The Europeans also celebrate, Christmas. So it's not like, this is not like Independence Day, right? 4th of July, right? They obviously do not celebrate the 4th of July in the UK. This is one of those holidays where they are also going to start running out of volume, and they're going to end their week earlier than we are. So, I'd say bearish. I don't necessarily like any of the areas up here as far as establishing risk. I still like this one to the downside. Yeah, there's not much else in that one. I'm trying to think. I don't even think this could be like a Thursday 40. Let's see. Europe. Oh, they got their consumer confidence. It came in exactly as expected. Buying. Not a lot there. Yeah, I'd say bearish, but really until we get down to here, there's an alert set. Not necessarily worth the screen time. Euro yen. So how's that for euro yen? Right. So talked about this one yesterday. We were sitting right here yesterday, and we said watch this level, right? been pushed. Actually, there's the top of that one. We said, hey, listen, there'll be some 61.8 people getting in, right? And you can see it came down, and what did the news do? Went straight back up. This one obviously ran, but this is a one candle drop of 420 pips. So yeah, all the way up in the 146 range, all the way down to 142. So quite a large one. And again, we were literally sitting there yesterday when we drew this one. So how's that? Not much else to say. Now, we did have a level down lower because we were in the short. We talked about a Harry Potter, obviously. Yeah, this little was not going to hold that back, and it did. It broke through that level. It came all the way down and slammed through the bottom side of it. It went right through the 78 like it didn't exist. And it ended up kind of starting to have some problems when it got down. And remember, from the short side, you were looking at, you were looking for profit targets. This was not a long entry. And you can see it hit it, and now we're just chopping back and forth through it. So it found these buyers. If anything, again, this would have been a target, not an entry. At that point, I say we take it out. There could be a case made that, hey, listen, we're sitting kind of in a zone right down here, which I think it's valid. You could say that. That's kind of what we're looking at fib-wise. You can see that we do have a wick over wick sitting right here. Just drop down, and there's a wick behind the wall and then a wick in the front. So there could be a case made here that there's a zone, as well as you could say, hey, listen, it was tested right there. So, and it also happens to be bisecting the 61.8. So the big question is, if we go back up, can we get enough kind of oomph out of this one, or is this going to be really necessarily a true bottom? Not a lot of risk in it, if you think about it. I don't know. It's got about 39 pips, so, more than what we normally like, but it is the yen, and unfortunately, all the yen pairs are extremely volatile at this point. So, yeah, I would say, if anything, that's how much of a retracement is it? About 102 pips. Not really a today type trade. But what I was thinking on this one is right there. If we can grind our way up there for the European Open tomorrow, right? If we can get there for the European Open tomorrow, that's actually a level that I could look at, and it's basically European weakness rolling in the yen market. So, yeah, that's where I'd say we're looking for right now, right? 141.67. Pull this off. Obviously, this got broken through. Take the alert off. The alert triggered. That was active. Yeah, it was down here, but you can see it was triggered. It was gray, so yeah, I got an alert on it. Anyway, yeah, that's where we're stuck now. So now this level, is this another tradable event? Could be. I think the momentum that I had off of there, the 145, we got a long way to go, but a couple things in here. So what I would say is, again, look at this level. I think it's only been tested once. It's confirmed. We can absolutely take another short off of this one, but understand this is a racetrack. So if we do start to see the euro kind of reinflate based off of some good news, if we start to base in here, if you don't take it short, or if it hits one more time and bounces, there's a racetrack here that we could take this one long, right? We should be able to move all the way up, probably up until that level. When it finally breaks, I don't know when it's going to, but absolutely it's something that again, you got to keep on your radar, the break of this and the reinflatement back at the parabolic move. Again, fundamental change may take longer, but it was one of those fundamental changes where if the European market gives us some good data, some strong fundamental changes in the European Union, then it's a reversal because of the fundamental change, not because of profit taking. All right. So kind of setting that one up. Pound dollar. Pound dollar, funny enough, has not really done a whole lot. Pound dollar, kind of boring, right? We're up 0.14. It's just going up, down, right? Nothing super exciting. We were sitting here yesterday. 17 pips difference, and you can see it's red, but it's been green in the last hour. And that's what we're seeing as it pulls back up. The reality of this one is I mean, I'll draw this. This is a great way. It's a great visual, right? If we kind of want to draw the bottom side here, that kind of explains it. It's a very, very narrow channel, right? Angle-wise, everything about it is very, very small. We know we have some selling occurring all up in here, right? How do we know that? Because we have this, which is lower, right? This goes to here, and you're seeing there, and you're seeing there, and now you're seeing there. So again, we know this whole area has sellers stuck in there. Will it be the turning point? I don't know. Again, I got to see what that 1030 reversal looks like if it's coming in today. But on a purely technical basis, we have enough little levels up here. I mean, if you really wanted to draw it, you could draw it off this way, right? It'd be like, oh, there's skin test. You know, it's got 40 pips to go. I don't think we're covering 40 pips in the next 20 minutes. There's no news out there really to do it. Maybe we hit this area at 11. And then again, you got to look at this and be like, hey, listen, there was a turning point here. There's a wick over wick and a drop. It was tested one way, didn't go 50% in. Look for this to turn and potentially roll back down again. And all that would do is basically bring it back up to change this around and then bring it back down to where kind of the median of the move is. So still haven't hit the 102.68. Sorry, not 102, 120.68. Sorry, I was listening to my voice crack, and I'm like, oh, like this is annoying. Right? So much fun, right? So much fun. Hold on one sec. What? No. Sorry. So this one to me is not really trending enough. There's not enough market movement out there. There's not enough help from any of the big banks or money. And none of the news we saw really gives us a definitive kind of route of up or down. So unfortunately, not a whole lot in this one that is exciting or worth looking at. Pound yen. Obviously, pound yen had the same movement. So funny enough, we drew this one. So let's take this off. Look at that. Now, hold on. Let's make sure we're 100% accurate. There's the top and bottom. So look how close. So this one missed by 4.8. 4.8. Not too bad, though, right? So again, it looks identical, right? Whether it be the euro yen, Aussie yen, pound yen, all exactly the same. Funny enough, I mean, again, euro yen drove right up to the level we talked about. Aussie yen, we missed the level by a little bit. You had to put a new one in. And pound yen, we missed it by just the slightest of entries. But it just goes to show you guys that, you know, a lot of times the news doesn't matter. It's a catalyst. It makes it do what you wanted or what we think it's going to do faster, but that's it. Like I said, there was no change. They didn't raise interest rates or anything like that. It was just the language. And we talked about it yesterday. That all they had to do was make some type of hawkish comment that could bring all the yen strength in that we needed. And it did on all three pairs. Monstrous moves off these little tiny zones that also, again, happen to coincide with other areas. Now, again, this one, you know, it's unfortunate where it misses. But again, you had to look at this. And, you know, besides this is the cleanest one, right? But here you saw a new top put in. It came back and touched the top. Had you done the same thing here, you can see that it did put a kind of a new top in, right? There's your new top in, right? And it did go a little bit higher, but it's kind of the question. Oops, not that one. This one. You can see it did put kind of a new top in, but the question is, it's like, hey, listen, we're sitting there right now. We're so close. Do you take the top one? Do you try to get more aggressive on this one? Reality is there's not really a right answer because sometimes it doesn't break through like what we had in the Aussie dollar or the Aussie yen. But this one, it did break just slightly higher, but didn't grab our zone. So the reality is sometimes you kind of got to get some, you know, take some risk on it, add some buffer into it. They're all great moves. And again, right now you're seeing it continue to push lower. I think 160 is the potential turning area on this one. That's an alert that we talked about before. Oh, that was this. Ooh, it was close. It was close. We had a Harry Potter draw on there before. It would have been a hard Harry Potter. And again, so for me on this one, right, we had the Harry Potter saying, if listen, if we get a base and a pullback, this would be a great little short. Problem with this one is you kind of had this wick over wick here that you got to be looking at. Be like, oh yeah, there we go. And then we had basing come in, and the basing was right there, right? And it kind of went just a little bit higher than that. So you may potentially have gotten stopped out on the Harry Potter. Now, again, depending on how you played it. If you played it number 1, you got stopped out. If you played it 3, you're golden. You can see it pushed all the way through. So funny. But again, remember, if you're already short, the entry of something else becomes a profit target for what you're in. So that would have been kind of more the short. Now, the 164 got blown out, but again, we were already in a shorting area, so this is not a long. It drove up before news. We're waiting for it to go that direction. So again, this would have been a target, not a long. So we're going to remove that now because obviously there was nothing there. It held it down. There's your push. So I'd say right now, if this happens to be the bottom or we find the bottom, 2360 is where we're looking. Okay. Remove this so we don't confuse people. We'll take this one off so we don't confuse people. I'd say right now that's kind of where we're at. Now again, we got to find a true bottom, right? We don't have the true bottom yet, but I think 160 is. I think 160 provides that opportunity. It is a big number for the pound yen, so just watch that. Dollar CAD. So dollar CAD. 12:30 this morning, we tagged the 137. We talked about the 137 had been an area. We had a confirmation yesterday. And again, this is kind of right when we talked that technically you missed this last night or yesterday morning. Maybe you caught it, depending on your broker. But if you missed this one, absolutely, without a doubt, you caught it here in the overnight. And we said that 137 does put the dollar CAD on the high side. It's a decent level. We typically want to, have that associated with something. And again, yesterday's 11 o'clock kind of data point was, a quick spike and turnaround. So again, we had our confirmation that was a decent level. This is an overnight based trade, right? You can see how quick it took it out, and it was only 11 for 33, so not necessarily a big one. Right now, you guys can hear my voice. It's going in and out. It's not the microphone; it's my voice. Just saying. Melissa took the car to work today with the cough drops in it, so no cough drops. We're in areas now where there's buyers coming in, so I think it's again. This is obviously because of the Canadian data. At this point, I'm not interested. As I said yesterday, not interested in this zone. This spent a lot of time there. Didn't really necessarily have an explosive move off of it. Really, until we got anything clean, it's down here. It's going to be that Harry Potter, that short. Yeah, break a 135.21. Right, 135.21. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I don't know if we want to challenge that. That's about the only thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't like any of those. I'm like looking at all the levels in there. I'm not really. Yeah, I don't like any of them. None of them are explosive enough for me. So yeah, I'd wait for this one. If you're short, again, get yourself out. Well, let's see. Short wise, problem is there's a couple of small levels in here. Probably there. I don't know. I feel like maybe there conservatively. So you're close. We've got 44 pips more to go on that one. So I will say too, because I'm sure I'll get a question about it. These are the type of emails I get. There's a level right there. And again, you're always looking for pullbacks, right? Unfortunately, you missed it. This one at the U.S. session kind of missed it on the downside. So, right. So 135.21. Wait for that one. Dollar Swiss. Choppy, 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 choppy. Again, we talked about this one coming down. We were sitting right over here yesterday. It did. Came down, hit it again and based. Hit it again and kind of blew through and then kind of, again, pulled back up. Now, this one would have been one of those ones where we're looking for the base at that level. We did get the base, and it didn't really, unfortunately, it pushed down and came back up, so it did not give us a Harry Potter entry. Remember, the Harry Potter entry, you need to drop, you need to base, and then pull back again. This down up is not what we're looking for, but it did give us a new top by putting it right here, right? And there's a confirmation right there. So this morning for news time, right, 8:30 this morning. Actually, we touched it on the 8 and the 9:30. You're good to go in both cases. So same trade setup. You just had to do a little bit of adjustment based off of what we had in the overnight. Nothing too exciting, right? But again, we were looking for a short anyway. We just had to go to the higher level, and then once we had this 130 confirmation, this is one you could have grabbed this morning, and this is a pretty quick one, but small. It was like 10 pips for 30. I still think this one has the opportunity to bounce lower, and we're seeing this in all the dollar pairs. Look at 92.29. Okay, dollar yen. Same story as all the other ones. We talked about a little Harry Potter trade. Actually, this wasn't a Harry Potter trade. We said we're at a gap. We said there's a potential reversal. It kind of chopped back and forth. This one, I would have said the same thing. If you played the short from the gap yesterday, you got stopped out, which is fine, right? The next level we had up here, you can see we kind of came up right at that 10 o'clock window. Same thing, the 137.27. It did pull down base and then pulled back up right before the news. It came all the way down here. Same exact setup as what we had in the Aussie. Right? There was the new level put in. There was the news. See the difference in the two? Right? We were already talking about having the 61.8 there and all the buying or the selling pressure here, and we knew we had a level sitting above. Once we had that, there's your pullback, and then there's news. If it did nothing but go straight down from there, oh well, you didn't get into the trade, but you had a small little level up here. And again, it's ridiculous to show you how far this actually went. Right? 17 pips worth of risk. Right? Your 1 to 3 was only right there as far as setups go, which happens to be right where the buyers were. Good trade? Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is where it gets really insane. There's your 1 to 3. Just your initial first push candle was a 1 to 20. 1 to 20. It's amazing how fast those things move, yeah? So it's quick. Right now, for me, it's the same kind of thinking. We're at 132 flat right now. We're going to have some buyers stepping in. 130 is going to be the big number here, just like 160 is for the pound yen. It's not too far away. So it is somewhat in close proximity. But I think, until we really get down there, we got another 200 pips to go. I really would like it to grind down there. I think 130 would be a great level to take it off of. Like I said, we do have that PCE rating. So really, whatever this does for the rest of the week, I'm looking for this one and what it does really Thursday night into Friday morning. That's where I think we have the next ability to kind of have this one take off. All right. Seeing the weakness in the dollar right now. You're seeing Bitcoin up at almost 17. You're seeing Ethereum just above 1,200. Not too bad. Doji has not changed really at all. It's the same. TLT took another big gap down. Yesterday we said, hey, listen, this could be the turn, big gap. We're back at that 103.40. So again, you're seeing it continue to deteriorate rather fast. And you can see how fast it does this, right? Tuesday, Monday, Thursday. I mean, this is, you can get some decent movement very, very fast in it. Now, commodities. So here's where we were looking yesterday for oil. We basically, there was the initial push, the 61 from here. There was your push right down. Whoops. There was the original trade. Right, there's the original trade. Now we came back up, and after that, we were just kind of basing. So we were sitting right here. It is in the green a little bit, but is it trending? And the answer is not really, right? Big push down, push up, push back down again to about the 50, came back up, ran into the sellers, push back down again a little bit deeper, but ran into these buyers, came back up, hit those sellers again, came back, when it found those sellers again, right? Those sellers have really been kind of situated here, right? This level up top. Not that one. I'd say right now, potentially more bearish than right now. But again, it's not really trending market. It's just really sideways. Just, again, whipsawing back and forth from where we were yesterday. Yeah. So, again, we had the last time we were up top, I think the 77.50 is still probably the area to look out for. The 78.6 is not really super exciting. It's all right, but it's just a test off of the front runs here. So, I kind of want to say wait to 77.50 on this one. Like I said, right now it's not really trending. Obviously, natural gas continuing to go down. Yesterday we were sitting right here, and we talked about this being our first profit target. And magically, from yesterday to today, what do? We went all the way back down, and we grabbed the next level of potential buyers. Being all the way down here at 540. We know we knew that we had buyers down here, and again, we said, hey, listen, it's confirmation, should be our first target, and then we'll see what happens. You can see now that it's pushed down into there, it's now starting to chop back and forth. By chopping back and forth, I'm looking at this one, I'm saying, could this be a potential bottom? The thing about this level right now is it's been a while since it's been down here. The price of natural gas was overly inflated anyway. It became more of a geopolitical battleground for things. Is this true supply and demand down here? I feel like not really. And the same level, you can see the dotted line. This is the original level, and it's not something we can draw a zone off of. But we've hit it here, hit it here, hit it here, and now we're hitting it here. So I don't have a lot of faith that it's going to continue to go to the upside. With it basing through, I'm kind of waiting for it to pull down a little bit and then looking for a pullback. I think there's the ability to continue to take this lower. We do have the low here, the short of 112. I'm sorry, 512. So I think there's definitely more room to run to the downside. Kind of what I'm saying. Just because, again, fourth hit, typically fourth is what breaks. Three is where it gets sketchy. Four is what breaks, and if it's not four, typically it tends to be the fifth. With the chop back right in the middle of the zone, that's kind of everything we need for this one to go south. So again, looking for a short breaking through the 512 mark. Gold. Now gold taking a big push. Now, funny enough, not funny, but like gold is so ugly. Look at this. This is horrible. It's just all wicks back and forth. These are 30-minute candles. Look at this. So much wick in this one. So we are pushing back up. And the last time we were up in this 1820 region. Obviously, good sells up there. And again, that was a news-based move up top. US-wise, right? Let's go back to this again. Non-US, right? Obviously, consumer confidence tomorrow, right? That could be a big reason. Consumer confidence is supposed to go higher. It comes even in higher than expected. What if home sales comes in better than expected, right? Maybe it's final GDP that comes in higher than expected. I think there's a lot of data out here that really could be positive for the U.S. Any of this bit of data that is positive above what the forecast is, I think gold is a short. Okay, with gold rallying back up days before kind of that next big release. Again, we've been here before, not the first time, but I think at this point we start looking for one of those tops. And what do I mean by a top? Just so everybody's on the same page. Something like this, where we start to get a base and we start pulling back again, right? Something along those lines. I think that's coming to gold, especially today, up 1.71. It's a good day. It's a big day for gold. Not as big as silver. And again, we're hitting an area right now. Not as big as silver. Silver's up 4.65. Okay. 4.65 is more than kind of a normal move. Hold on one sec. Okay. And we're back up into a level up here at 24. We know that 24, 23, 22, those are all big levels. So it's a level we've seen sellers. There's confirmation up there. We're kind of running into it right now. It is 1030 reversal. It is up 4.5%. So a lot of factors are into this one telling us that we should be looking for potential shorts. Now, again, not the first time we've been here. It's not the freshest level. It has hit here before. It has hit here in the past. So now we're looking for that top and that potential reversal. Because again, if gold is good, right? If gold is good, or if the U.S. data is good, gold should be shorts for the rest of the week. Silver will typically follow 2 times more than what gold is. So I think it's got room to run. It's just finding the correct top on this one. So look for the confirmation entry, that failure to go higher. Look for a level of risk. Look for a pullback. And then, again, when it, exactly this. Here, I'll do it on the 15th so it's even easier. We're looking for this. Look for the top. Wait for price to push down again, and then again, if this, then that. If it comes back up, you take the short. If it falls away, oh well, no harm, no foul. You missed the trade. It happens, right? Again, you don't want to be necessarily trying to call the top. You want to use the top candle to give you an established level of risk. All right, that's silver. Let's see what we got. Apple. Apple could be at the bottom here. Tesla having some problems. Was listening to a lot of commentary yesterday about Tesla and Elon and. Basically people at Twitter or at Tesla were basically saying that he has a responsibility. He should step down on Twitter and just run Tesla. Kind of some interesting banner back and forth. And people are like, well, I don't think he should, but he won't. He's not going to do it. He's not going to give in to the crowd. And I don't know. I feel like if anybody out there Elon is like the one person that's not going to give in to what the general public wants. And I kind of feel like, nor should he, right? If you think about it, I mean, what has Elon done, right? Is Elon considered a disruptor? Yeah, I would say so. I mean, how many people have been able to kind of do what he has? I mean, if you think about what he's done with Tesla, what he's done with Dragon X and the rockets, and that's like standard practice now. You know, he's done things that people would just assume were like sci-fi. So I feel like if anybody feels like they have a read on something, it's Elon. You know, if the guy's going to fail, if he's destined to fail, let him fail. Well, he won't be the first rich person to ever fail, right? So I don't know. I love the Monday morning quarterbacks. Like Elon should just step down. It's like, I don't know. Elon has a plan of some sort. He hasn't told us what the plan is, but you know. Then again, look at Tesla. Didn't make money for how many years, and people were like, "Oh, buy it. It's awesome." And again, definitely disruptor. All right, as far as opening print goes today, so opening prints are pretty interesting this morning. Unfortunately, the 9 o'clock candles really weren't helping us out today. Look at this. By the way, this was yesterday opening print. It made it about 2/3 of the way, ran right into those sellers, and we missed just to push through. And then it just got bad. And then it failed, came up, and missed the Harry Potter. It got close, though. Look at this. Like, right. It was all the way up here. You were at a 2.5, right? It went against us, stopped us out, channeled through. You're like, oh, it's breaking. And it did. It broke. It came up. It went, and it just missed it before the long short. So unfortunate when that happens. You got to hate it. Now, this morning on this one. So I was looking at this one, and I was like, we got a level right here. But it's kind of like it's actually more the level is up here, right? And then when you get the level here, this is the more of a confirmation. And then it didn't quite make it up. I was like, oh, there's a level. And then I was looking at this one at the 9 o'clock window. I'm like, all right, well, let's see what it does. If it dries back up from 9 to 9:30, then yes, we'll look for it for a short. It did. Here's your 9 o'clock. Here's your 9:15. It literally went sideways. I was like, oh, come on, bro. Did nothing, right? Did nothing. Now, it did go down. It did grab some buyers down here. So some of you may have been able to grab a piece off down here, right? That was the last nice little kind of big push. But as far as opening print goes, that was actually at like the 9:45-ish window. I could say that this is the level I was looking at, but I was like, I was looking more for this. I was like, listen, if we can get all the way down to here, we got some confirmation. This is the level that I was looking at, right? So it did make it. Yeah, there could have been a case made for here. But I was really hoping. I was like, hey, listen, go up. If you could like kind of spike up right beforehand, that's going to tell me maybe I'll use this, maybe I'll use this. It did nothing. It totally flatlined. It went dead. I was like, oh, God, stop. NQ. Okay. Now, NQ, the same level we talked about before. We talked about the testing down below, right? There's your base. There's your touch. There's your piece. 9:30. It's 9:45. It's just a little bit late. Now, this one also did the same thing. The 9 didn't do anything. The 9:15 didn't do anything. The 9:30 drove it down, right? It kind of got low, and you're like, oh, it's right there. But just like ES, I was like, hey, listen, it's down here. Here's the confirmation. It was a no entry. NQ, it did touch, right? NQ did touch. And there you go. Whoops. I think there's a stand on the keyboard again, on the mouse pad again. Right there. Okay. There's your 1 to 3. Why did I like this one? Well, because here's the overnight kind of level of basing. That's where the target was. I was like, oh, path to target. We're good to go there. Now, obviously, it's only up 0.35, even though it looks like it's just, a spectacular move. I'm curious to see. There'll probably be some, Poor fib traders are getting blasted. Actually, you know what? That wasn't actually a horrible position. Look at that. That's actually not a bad spot right there. I actually wouldn't have minded that one. I didn't see that one earlier. I actually didn't have that drawn. I didn't have that drawn. That was actually not a horrible spot. I hate to say it because it may get, stopped out right now, but that's typically what we're looking for. That's actually not bad. This, obviously, there's where your target should have been, right at the top, right there. Okay, it's gone beyond that. It's hit another level here, and very interesting spot. That's a 115. That's not a bad level, and it is confirmed, and it is a 50% retracement. I kind of like that level, and it's 10:30. So there's a lot of factors in there. Is there a news fact? Let me see if there's news. No, nothing that is earth-shattering. I hate to say it. if this one gets stopped out, this is just proof that sometimes it doesn't matter. If you stack all the odds in your favor, sometimes there's always that slight chance that you can lose. It's like Neuro winning Pip Chips, right? Neuro can buy 10 tickets, but Debbie or Marina can still take it with one ticket. But this is actually, I hate to say it. I mean, I'll throw this on there. I did not see this one, so I don't want to claim that. Oh, look, I told you guys. I didn't see this one. I didn't have this one drawn, but that's actually not a bad trade. Obviously, there's the morning. You're out of the morning trade. But that's kind of the setups that we're looking for when you get that many things all in your favor at the same time. So not bad. I don't know. If this is the turning point, then yeah, I'll look like a genius tomorrow. If it gets stopped out, I don't really care because, like I said, base 50%, confirmation, 1030 reversal. I mean, you're stacking so much stuff all on top of it. That's a nice little trade setup right there. So not too bad. YM also did not get entry. This one was the same thing. Was drawing the base down here. Was drawing the base right there. There was confirmation. It was sitting right there. Didn't give me an entry, so don't want to claim anything on that one. Didn't get it. You see this one yesterday? Absolutely made it out. Actually, it's funny. It reversed right up there when we talked about, and that was a reversal for the night. So I actually didn't realize that one. I don't look at YM as much, by the way. ES and NQ are the two that I look at. I don't track YM as much. I hate to say it, but I don't have time. But that's not bad. And then let's see Russell. Same thing. I was looking at this. No entry. Now, this one was setting up for more of a long. I just want to point this out. Remember I talked like ES was like, oh my God, it did nothing. 9.15, it didn't move. Russell, there's your 9, there's your 9.15. So this one was pushing down. So it was kind of setting up for a long. Problem is, here's my confirmation on that one. You could have said, well, wait a second. There's a place that we have a big green candle. Yeah, you could have. But again, when it's two levels, I always take the farthest level. So there was no entry on this one either. But if you did take it, if you did snag it here, then yeah, you're good to go. But yeah, look, this one is out. This one is out. And then what did it do? If you take it off of where the new base was, which is right there, right? There's your push down. There's your base. There's your Harry Potter trade. So some funny stuff in the last 24 hours. And again, this is low volume trading December. What are you going to do? But pretty funny stuff. So, yeah. So, again, the indices have had a lot of fun stuff at the open. The rest of the day, they've just been kind of tracking, and they're going to track weird, and not everything's going to make sense. But I will say, the core PCE for the rest of the week, consumer confidence will make a difference. But I think this one is the big one. That'll be the big one of the week. So, but yeah, look at this. 599, 600. There we go. You guys saw it. It was 600 for a second. How awesome is that? 600 pips down. And again, that's why they call it, the beast, the dragon, the widowmaker, right? The things that they call it. Again, this is why. Imagine not having a stop loss. Yeah. Crazy, crazy pair. So, all right. My voice is already cracking, so I'm going to go ahead and do the drawing and get out of here. Start going with some tea. Yeah, see what happens when I don't have any cough drops? Right? Melissa took the car with the cough drops in it. I'm like, oh, God, you took the wrong car. And I actually started with a cough drop today, but yeah. All right, so we know who won yesterday. I'm not allowed to say names because, a certain somebody gets mad when I say names because then they win the second time. So with that said, let's go ahead and draw this drawing. All right. Winner of today's drawing is. All right. I'm just going to tell you this right now. I'm looking at this and I was like, oh, Sean's here today. He bought 2 tickets. I'm like, he doesn't normally buy 2. So maybe this is my fault, guys. I saw Sean that he bought 2 tickets and I was kind of like, look at that. Sean bought 2 tickets. So I apologize. Maybe I'm not even allowed to think the name. Like if I think the name, maybe that's the problem. But literally, I'm like looking. I'm like, Sean bought 2 tickets today. He must be serious. And what does he do? He wins. So my bad. Tomorrow, Neuro, I won't think about anybody. All right. How about that? I promise. I won't even look at the names tomorrow. I'm not going to look at it and be like, look at that. Like Sean doesn't normally buy 2. So yeah, kind of funny. But I swear to God, I'm looking at that. I'm like, oh, look at Sean bought 2 tickets today. So maybe that's my problem, as I thought about it. So Look, Siri, I'm telling you, Alexa, not only does she, hear you yelling at your kids, but she also, read your mind. So, all right, with that, I'm out of here, guys. I'm going to not talk the rest of the day, so I have a voice for tomorrow morning. Hopefully, it doesn't get worse today, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, good trading. If you need anything, shoot me a message on Discord, and thank you for joining me today. And again, I'll catch you tomorrow morning. Take care.